Oh, what's up everybody? Chris here, finally back with a new video. Yeah, sorry to everyone for the long wait. I've had some technical difficulties. So, I'm finally back, and as I promised, I'm going to be doing a full mix today of an up-and-coming track that I'm going to be putting on YouTube. And yeah, I've got everything laid out nicely. I've got the all the tracks and the bass and the drums set up. Everything's raw, nothing has been EQ'd or anything like that. So yeah, and yeah, look, stay tuned for the track coming up. It should be up on YouTube in maybe in a month's time. I'm gonna be recording the video with another guitarist from my band called the Uncrowned Union. We're a metalcore band based in Osaka, Japan. That's where I live. And yeah, we're gonna be recording it in Kyoto, hopefully in front of a fucking sick looking fucking temple or something. And yeah, stay tuned for that. So you're gonna be in this video you're gonna see well, you're gonna get to hear a sneak preview of the tune, and yeah, see how I mix everything. And yeah, bear in mind that I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. But I try to make shit sound as good as possible, and this is just how I have figured out how to do it over the years of trial and error. So yeah, let's get started.
So first things first, I went ahead and recorded the entire track, color coded it so that everything looks nice and neat and in order, and everything's raw, nothing has been edited or EQ'd. So let's just give the track a listen, and after that we can start yeah, fucking with it. So yeah, sounds pretty good already. So let's just take a look. So first, I for the Superior Drummer, I did a multi-channel output. If you don't know how to do that, I'll show you quickly. So here I have Superior Drummer. I'm using the Metalheadz kit. Sounds pretty good. It's one of my favorites. And to do a multi-channel output in FL Studio, you have to go to your mixer first, and over here you'll see all your output buses for each part of the kit. And the default setting is that everything is set to 1 and 2 for all of these. So you just go ahead and click and choose which output you want to send each part of the track to. And you could go crazy and do every individual part of the track, part of the kit. You know, kicks, the kick drum right, kick drum left, kick trigger, snare top, snare bottom. You know, you could do that. I don't go that into detail with the Superior Drummer, so I just group all the kicks together and put in one channel, all the snare parts together in one channel, and so on and so forth. And once you've mapped those out, you then have to go to the top left. You will see a cog. I know it looks a little bit different because I'm using FL Studio 12, but on 11 as well, you'll see a little cog in the top left. You just click that and click on processing, and over here you'll see a list of outputs, and I just click on auto map outputs, and it will usually throw them in order into the mixer. Don't put anything on 1 and 2 and 2 and 3 because that's your master channel. So start here with the first output and go down. And then yeah, once you've done that, and you will see that each part in the mixer will come up separately. You can see all the different parts of the kit are coming out in different parts of the mixer. And then you can go ahead and label it. Alright. And yeah, so I did that. Now, and then of course for the guitars I double tracking for some stuff, especially the distorted guitars. For the verse stuff, I just did a single track. I might do double later. I haven't really finished this track yet. The drums still need a lot of work. And bass down here, just one single track of bass. And color coded everything and then threw it into the mixer. I suggest with Fruity Loops you color code them first in the pattern window, and then throw them in, because then the colors will the mixer will take on the color that you coded it to, and you won't have to color code it twice. Alright, so let's take a listen to first what I did to the drums. Let's first listen to the drums just by themselves, and I'll tell you exactly what I did. So I'll loop a part of the drums, and I'll just play it. So that's just the stock Fruity Loops, the stock Superior Drummer sound that's coming out. So for the kick drum, I first went ahead and EQ'd it. I dropped out everything below 130-ish hertz. I think there's a little high pass filter over there. I boosted around 200 hertz. I find that it gives it a nice little punch, mid-low bass punch in the kick. And I boosted around 4,000 hertz. Just to get that clickiness in the kick. And I also used an Easy Mix preset. I think it's called a BS kick. And let me just solo that, and you can hear the difference. I was gonna solo my mic, and then the kick. And if you could give it, I'll switch them off first, and give it a listen. And then with the EQ off, and then with the Easy Mix. That's on, that's off, on and off. All right, and in the context of the whole kit, it'll sound like this. That's on, off. Yeah, I think it sounds great. I think it sounds tighter and just stands out a little bit better. That's it for the kick. For the snare, I just used a reverb. Not too wet, about I don't know, 50%, maybe a little bit less actually, 40%. I dropped out some of the high end. I like a kind of mid-range tail on my reverb. So let's quickly hear it with and without reverb. It's a massive difference. Alright, and don't worry so much about if the tail sounds long on the reverb, they'll be drowned out by the rest of the track. And then I also used something that I love using as well, the sound goodizer. It's just like I guess it just a thing that colors the audio or the sound in a really nice way. Not too much, just a little tinge of it, and you'll hear the difference now. The snare just stands out and it's really beefy. So I'll do it without, and then I'll switch it on. That's on. That's off. On. Off. And then everything in context. Alright, so sounding a bit better, sounding a bit tighter and beefier. For the hats, I just used the Panoramic EQ and just took out some low end. That's pretty much all you can do with the hats. You could boost some highs, but I found I didn't really need to at this moment. And also this song, as of yet, doesn't have any hi-hats, so that was just something I usually do with the hi-hats, just a basic thing that I always do. For the toms, I don't do much with the toms. I might pan them a little bit to the left or the right. But there's only one thing I do with the toms, and that's sound goodizer. For the floor toms as well. And that just, again, it brings them up. It makes them fatter and beefier. Alright, and then for the overheads, which are the cymbals. I used Easy Mix, a preset for the Easy Mix. What did I use? Yeah, it's called DEI Overhead 2. So I'll solo the overheads, and then I'll play it without and then with. So yeah, I don't really know what the Easy Mix is actually doing to it. I just, through trial and error and listening to all the different presets, this is the one that I chose and like. Alright, and for the ambient mics as well, that's the room mics that Superior Drummer simulates. I also just use a tape simulator. I find that it kind of colors the Superior Drummer sound nicely, and it doesn't sound so Superior Drummer-ish, if you know what I mean. So I'll play it with and without. Without first and then with. without, and with. Alright, that's pretty much it for drums. And if we move on to okay, rhythm, so I can unsolo that. So for all the rhythm guitars, I did a high pass, low pass filter. I usually do that with all my guitars. I took out around anything under 100 hertz or more sometimes, just to get rid of that low end rumble that you don't really need with guitars, and to make space for the bass guitars. And also around I cut out a low pass around 6,000 ish hertz for this specific track. It differs from time to time, but you know, depending on what tone I'm using, but I usually around 5,000-6,000 hertz is where I'll cut out the high end of the guitars, because you know, it's just that fizziness that you get, especially with simulated guitar tones. You get kind of a fizziness, a fuzziness in the tone. So I just do a high pass, low pass filter. That's it. So I'll solo the guitars, and you can hear it without and then with. That's without, and that's with. Without and with. It's kind of subtle, but it's more so for making space for the other instruments rather than changing the sound. Alright, the next part is to this little clean verse. As you can see here, this automation is just to cut the volume for the intro guitars, because you know, the tail was a bit long, so I just faded the volume away. If you don't know how to do that, it's very easy. You just select the area you want to perform the automation on. You right click on any parameter that you want to change or automate, and you just say create automation clip, and when you click that, you'll get a straight automation clip, and then you can fuck with it as however you want. So I just did a simple fade away. So, and then for the next part is this clean guitar. For this, I used one of my favorite reverb plugins. It's called the Valhalla Shimmer. It is one of my favorite reverb plugins I've ever used. It's especially for the kind of progressive metal and djenty type music. It's got a lot of ambient qualities that I love. So let's switch it on, and you can hear the difference. So I didn't do too much, just 40% in the mix. I cut some highs out, and they've got some different modes, like the color mode, you can select bright or dark. I chose dark, and the reverb mode, you can select a few. I chose a big stereo, and this is what it sounds like. Without and with. And also on the little the mixer EQ on the FL Studio, I didn't bother putting in a panoramic EQ or anything like that. I wanted to boost just a little bit of high end. So just here on Fruity Loops, there is a little mixer that you can tweak around. An EQ that you can tweak around. Then I just boost a little bit of high end. Alright, so let's keep listening. Here's a good opportunity actually to listen to the the toms and how they've changed with the sound goodizer that I put on them. So I'll switch off the sound goodizers for the toms and just loop this little tom riff thing that I threw in here. So that's without the sound goodizers, and I'll switch them on now. Here they come. So yeah, it sounds kind of bigger and fatter. That's what I like. Alright, then there are some kind of backing melodies in here. There's this thing over here. And this over here. Now for both of these, I actually recorded them with a reverb already plugged in. So I recorded them directly with a reverb. So that reverb I didn't, because that reverb plugin, the Valhalla Shimmer, takes up a little bit of CPU. So in order to not have so many of them going at the same time, for little things like background melodies and whatnot, I record with the reverb switched on in the recording bus. So I've done nothing to either of these tracks because they're just kind of background noise. Well, not background noise, they're kind of filler, if you must, just to make things a little bit more full and melodic. Alright, and then we get to a little build up here before the chorus, and I did something quite interesting here, and I just recently figured this out. Now over here in this part, the guitar, I wanted the guitars to actually filter in before this pre-chorus, and I used to use just the fruity filter that was in here. It's like a free filter thing that comes stock with Fruity Loops, and what I found with using that is that a lot of odd bass frequencies would jump out if I was doing like an automated filter. So instead I found this technique. I'll show you what I did here. So you can see there are two of these automations, and what they are actually, because there's four parts of this build-up. There's the low guitars, which is an octave down, and high guitars, which is an octave up. And together they sound like this. Alright, but what I wanted to do is filter them. So what I did was I actually automated the Panoramic EQ. So I cut out, again, 120 Hertz like I usually do. But then I did the low pass filter and I brought it all the way down till about like 300 Hertz. And then I selected this area and right clicked on the frequency band, or the little dial that moves it up and that moves this band up and down, and I've created an automation clip, and I did the exact same thing for both the highs and the lows. So if I switch on both of these EQs, and you can hear it really works nicely as a filter, because there's already a high pass filter. It's cutting out the low end, so there's no odd frequencies jumping around and you know, punching you in the face. And yeah, so I kind of killed two birds with one stone. I EQ'd them and I filtered them at the same time. You can take a listen what they sound like in the full mix as it builds. Yeah, pretty fucking awesome if you ask me. Alright, then move on to the rhythm. I've got there are 3 parts of the rhythm, just a left and right track of the chorus itself. And for this one as well, I just EQ'd it, same thing as before, 120 hertz and around 6K. And that's without, and that's with. Alright, nothing too crazy. And then there's also this little backing piece that goes behind the chorus, just the same. I did a high pass, a low pass. No, what is it? A low pass filter, a little bit higher than the actual chorus, because I wanted this backing to kind of stand out, because it's a really nice melody that complements the chorus. So I wanted to stick out a little bit more than the chorus guitars do. So you can hear it without. And then with. And then in the context of the entire mix. Yeah, that's pretty basic. And then for bass, well, I've been having a few problems with my bass. A lot of things, you know, I've got a 4-string bass and a 7-string guitar, and I'm dropping down to A on my 7-string guitar. And I've been trying to drop the top string of the bass guitar down to A, and man, it's so hard to keep that fucking thing in tune. So I'm in the process of selling my 4-string and hopefully just gonna buy a fucking 6-string and get it done with. And so the bass itself, just raw, sounds like this. I'll play this one in the beginning of the track. So yeah, it sounds a little bit flubby. So what I did was I first EQ'd it. I dropped some low end out under about 100 hertz, because again, you don't need that such low end for this genre of music. I gave a little bit of punch in the mid lows around 300 hertz, a little bit of mids, and some more treble, just to give it that kind of gristle and that grumble that I like. Around 3000 hertz, and I dropped some high end at the end of that. It's a low pass. So we listen to it with and without. Well, first without, and then with, without, with. So yeah, not too much of a difference, kind of subtle. I think it makes it a little bit more tighter. And then I also use the Easy Mix preset. It's called DEI bass amp. And let's hear the difference. That's without, and with, without, with. And then in the context of the mix. Yeah, so I'm still working on the bass, trying to get a better bass sound. But for now, I use what I got, and I try to make the best of what I got, and that's kind of the best I could get out of my bass guitar. And then there's just a little solo. I might need to redo the solo, actually. I found that I don't know what happened when I was recording it. I think I was recording it, the level was too high, and I kind of clipped. So the recording is a little bit fuzzy. It's got some crackle in it. so I probably have to redo that. So for the solo, I cut out a lot of low end just because I wanted to really stick out and not fight with any other bass frequencies in the rest of the mix. So I dropped it out from about 290 hertz, boosted a little around 3000, and dropped some highs. And you can hear the difference here. Excuse the crackling. That's without. And that's with. Without. And with. Alright, and then I was experimenting with some Easy Mix presets. I found this one, it's quite interesting. It kind of gives it a chorusy kind of sound. It's DEI Solo Guitar 2. And I'll switch that on. You can hear. It's interesting, you know, I just thought I'd try it. So first without and then with. Yeah, I don't know. You know, it's interesting. I don't know. It gives kind of like a smooth quality, smooth and glassy. And here's in the context of the mix. Kind of quiet. I need to redo this solo. It's really fighting. Maybe I need to bring the volume of the other parts down. And yeah, but I'll get to that eventually. I'll be actually making a YouTube video for this track with the guitarist of my band. His name is Kanade. In my band, we are called the Uncrowned Union. We're based in Osaka, in Japan, and yeah, we're gonna be going to Kyoto to do the video, so you'll see a bunch of cool looking fucking temples and shit in my next YouTube video, hopefully, and he'll be making a guest appearance. Yeah. Also, down here at the bottom, there are. I did a bass quickly, just to tell you. I did this bass automation. Now, instead of doing just a single automation clip, like I did previously with the EQ and the intro volume. You see, the bass is one long track, so you need one long automation clip. So instead of highlighting a specific place, you don't highlight anything, and you just right click on the bass's volume, and you create the automation clip, and it will make one for the entirety of the track itself. And then you can bring it down, bring it back up, fuck with it however you want. It's pretty basic. And then yeah, in the master channel, I haven't got anything. What I usually do for the master, just to save on CPU, is I will mix everything and EQ it and get it sounding nice without anything in the master. Then I'll bounce it to a WAV file, and then throw the WAV file into Fruity Loops, and then throw some plugins and you know, limiters and things on that to kind of master it and get it sounding better, the overall mix. So this is the overall mix without anything in the master. I'll bounce this to wave, and we'll come back, and I'll show you what I do in the master channel. So for now, just give me a second. If you don't know how to bounce it, you go to export to WAV file, and then you just tell it where to put it, and you'll get a WAV file there. But yeah, anyways. Alright, so I'm back, and I've I've bounced the track to Wave, and I've thrown it into the FL Studio. I've actually went back to FL Studio 11 because some of my plugins are not jiving with FL Studio 12. So I went back to FL 11. Anyway, so here's the track. It's exactly what you heard when I was mixing it. And I've done a couple things to it. There's a few things that I always do to tracks. For example, I used this from my Waves bundle. It's called the Aphex Vintage Exciter. And again, I have no fucking clue what this thing is actually doing to the track. But yeah, it sounds nice. So here's without and then with. Yeah, so I don't know, it gives kind of like a smoothing quality to it. They've got the input and the output, which I just kind of balance until this these meters are kind of hovering about around 0 to +1 dB, and this is the actual how much of this exciter do you want in like the compression dial. And I keep it around 5. If I take it too high, it gets kind of tinny and it loses some of its oomph, if you know what I mean. And the next plugin I use is called Max Bass. I got this also in my Waves plugin bundle. Sorry, I'm a little bit tired. And what it does really is it kind of boosts the mid to high, the middle or the mid-range bass in the track. And what that's good for is when people are listening to your track on earphones or headphones, those don't really produce that great of like a lot of low end. So this Max Bass kind of boosts the bass through the mid so that it sounds better on your headphones. It's really subtle if you listen to it, or you might hear it if you're wearing headphones or earphones when you're watching this video. So start without and then with. That's without and with. So yeah, I don't know if you can hear that, but it kind of adds bass in the middle frequency. You do it here. There's this max bass tab, and you can put as much as little as you want into the mix. I don't go too crazy with it, but it helps, I guess. The next is kind of a new plugin I just got. It's a Tube Exciter, and it just replicates tube sound. Analog, kind of warm, tube soundy stuff. So let's hear without and then with. So that's without, and that's with. Yeah, I guess it kind of picks up everything, and it's nice. You can actually excite different frequencies on the spectrum, so you can excite just the highs, the centers, and the lows. You can choose how much saturation you want, as well as how much drive on the sub bass you want, which is nice little plugin. And then another plugin from the same company, just an EQ called Pro E. And yeah, just a final little EQ of some things that I need to touch up if I feel it needs a little bit more bass or mids or highs. And so I kind of dropped a little bit of bass in the low end, and I thought the bass was a little bit too punchy here around 300 or 100 and 150. Kind of dropped that out a bit because it was a bit rumbly, and just a slight boost on the highs just to make it just a touch brighter. So let's give that a listen without and then with. I can actually switch this on and switch it off here. So switch it off. Alright, so yeah, just kind of brightens things up, very subtle. And the nice thing about this plugin, you can listen to each and every band on the EQ and kind of see if there are any unwanted frequencies that are popping out or that are irritating your ear, and kind of tone them down a bit. So it's quite a nice plugin. But if you don't have this, of course, just any old EQ will work. And then finally at the end, just a limiter. And I just put the gain at around +1 and the ceiling a little bit low to catch those peaks. So you can see them. You can see when I start the song, you'll see the peaks. Just the ceiling will just touch on the peaks to stop it from jumping out. So yeah, that's basically it. I think it sounds pretty good for now. Let me just switch off everything. I'll play the chorus and then I'll switch off everything and then switch it back on one by one so you can hear the difference from when we started. Alright, yeah, sorry, the bass was a little bit loud there, so yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I mean, yeah, again, it's all just trial and error, and I'm just fucking around and just choosing random things until it sounds good. I mean, that's how I've kind of taught myself up until now. And yeah, that's pretty much it for mixing, how I do my mixes. Yeah, so I hope this video was helpful, and thank you guys for waiting so long and being patient with me. I had some heavy technical difficulties. My MacBook took a shit. My hard drive took a shit. Everything's been just breaking on me. So it's been a while since I've actually uploaded a video. And I know all of you guys have been asking me, a lot of people have been asking me in the comments, please do the tutorial video, please. How do you get that sound from the Line 6? Well, now you know. I don't do much to the sound other than EQing. And, you can use other plugins. I mean, there are so many different fucking plugins that you can compress and excite and saturate your guitar tone. And those are all great, and I do use them at times. But, I paid money. I paid a lot of money for the PODHD500X. And I'm, really trying to sit and tweak it until I get the best tone I can possibly get out of it from the get-go. So I have the best tone going in to the recording software so that I don't have to do too much to it and kill my CPU with all these different plugins to make it sound great. So yeah, I hope it was helpful, and stay tuned for my next YouTube video, which will be coming up soon, I hope. And also some news about me. I'm currently recording an album with my band, the Uncrowned Union. And we're almost done. We just got to track all the vocals, and I will be uploading it onto YouTube, and it will be in the description. Well, when it's uploaded, the links will be in the description to download for free. So the main purpose is just for PR, pretty much. Just guys can just download it for free, and I want comments on it, and tell me if it's good, tell me if it's shit. Tell me if I need to change things or whatnot. And click like and subscribe. And you can also check out our Facebook page at the Uncrowned Union. Just search the Uncrowned Union on Facebook and you'll find us. And but that's it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And peace out, motherfuckers.